Well, hello there. My name is Anthony Amorosa, and you're watching Music Lessons with Tones. But I won't be teaching you how to play music, no. The lessons that you will be learning about are different aspects of history while listening to me play music from that time period. This episode is all about the obscure yet phenomenal life of Jesse Owens, while listening to me play a classic piece by Duke Ellington, who played jazz around the time that Jesse Owens was winning gold in Berlin. Now, these segments aren't too long because they only last the time of the song, so listen up. Alright, now let's get into it. To some, Jesse Owens is not obscure. In fact, he's probably the exact opposite of it. Being a very decorated Olympian, you're probably wondering what about him actually makes him obscure. When people think about Owens, they mainly just think about what he won in the Berlin Olympics. What people do not realize is the immediate impact that he had of distracting the world from Hitler's plan to use the 1936 Berlin Olympics as propaganda for the Holocaust. What he did was nothing short of incredible. What I'm going to tell you is I'm going to detail the obscure life of Jesse Owens from being a sickly poor kid to one of the most influential Olympians to ever compete. Now, it's pretty important to address what his child life was like. Born in 1913 in Alabama, he was in a very poor family. His family were sharecroppers who lived every day on uncertainty of whether or not they were able to make money or whether or not they were able to put food on the plate for Owens. Owens picked cotton with his family nearly every day as a kid to make ends meet. His family did not experience any type of luxury living whatsoever and only had the essentials to live. Now, when Owens was a child, he actually had a tumor on his leg, and they weren't able to bring him to the doctor. So what his mom had to do was literally cut it off herself and hope for the best for Owens. At that point, no one would have ever thought Owens would ever become the decorated Olympian that he would eventually become. But because of transferring to a new high school in Ohio, he actually got the opportunity that he deserved. Owens shined in high school, and he was lucky enough to be able to get a scholarship to Ohio State University, where he absolutely shined. From there, at the Ohio State University, he got into the Olympics, and he was on his way to the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Now, of course, at this time, Hitler was running the 1936 Berlin Olympics, and his intentions was to use it as propaganda, which was to trying to get everybody on his side. Now, what Jesse Owens' plan was to do was, of course, go in there and win as many medals as he could, but also distract the world from what Hitler was trying to do. Now, Jesse Owens actually did an incredible job at this. By befriending his German rival, Laszlo, Owens was able to show a triumph of sportsmanship and its importance over the Nazi ideology that was trying to be taught by Hitler. Now, a German competitor essentially helping an African American from America was frowned upon, especially by Hitler. Owens ended up beating Long with that last jump and took first place in the event. Once he won the long jump, Owens knew exactly what he had done. He was aware of the immediate impact that he had. After the win, Owens and Long ran a lap together, symbolizing friendship above anything else, above Hitler's Aryan views, above Hitler's discriminatory actions, and above everything. Long did not care for the propaganda whatsoever and really also only cared for what was right. Though Owens obviously could do nothing more than simply set a distraction and steal the spotlight from the German leader, he did what he could, along with all the other men that he participated with. He effectively made everyone forget about it and not pay much attention to what Hitler intended to be a massive propaganda movement. Author and writer Michael J. Sokolow says it best by saying, "The electric memory of Owens as the first person to defeat Hitler retained a magical resonance. The Cleveland spinner became a transcendent figure, having achieved a level of global celebrity unmatched by any athlete in the interwar era. Radio created the medium whereby hundreds of millions of listeners simultaneously experienced and shared his triumphs." Now, it should not go unnoticed that Owens was talked about as the first man to defeat Hitler, let alone a black man. See, not only did Owens set a precedent for defeating Hitler, he also set a huge precedent for the African American community. Coming back from the 1936 Berlin Olympics with many gold medals, he was looked very highly upon. He set an example for every young African American person in America, saying that they could do what they wanted, including jazz, including anybody who wanted to play an instrument, including any artist that wanted to express themselves. He was able to tell them that they can do it because he obviously was able to do it. The biggest takeaway from this is to understand that he's way more than an athlete. He's one of the biggest influential African Americans to ever walk this planet. And that right there is the obscure yet phenomenal life of Jesse Owens. I appreciate you tuning in and listening to the first episode of Music Lessons with Tones.